Breaking news, the medical examiner is speaking out for the first time, and they're calling out the LAPD on how they're handling the case of David and Celeste. I mean, this is crazy.
A war is erupting between the medical examiner of the Celeste Rivas case and the LAPD. The LAPD is desperate to silence the ME, who wants to spill some secrets.
Turns out the LAPD, this is the second bite of the apple. In September, mid-September, they went to a judge and said, we want to get the ME's file sealed, and the judge wouldn't do it. The judge said there's not enough evidence to justify sealing it because it's really unusual to do that. So they went back again a few days ago, and this time they got it. And the ME is angry. I mean, I have never in my life seen the ME come out with a press release. I mean,
something is very wrong in Los Angeles tonight, because investigators aren't just dealing with a tragic death. They are dealing with a case filled with secrecy, frozen body allegations, internal agency wars, and a missing 4-month timeline that still terrifies everyone involved. And this time, the truth isn't coming from a police press conference. It's coming from inside the medical examiner's office, and the details are far darker than anyone expected. Shortly after investigators labeled the case a murder, the LAPD took an aggressive step. They went to court and demanded a secrecy order, blocking the medical examiner from releasing Celeste's autopsy. The justification for sealing the records was chilling. The LAPD claimed that releasing the autopsy could endanger the lives of witnesses, expose cooperating informants, and compromise the entire investigation. But everything became far stranger when the medical examiner, who usually remains silent in all the major cases, entered the conversation. The first major shock came when sources connected to the medical examiner claimed Celeste's body showed signs of being partially frozen.
our sources connected to the medical examiner say that it was partially frozen when found.
And not at the time of discovery, but possibly weeks or even months earlier. This would explain several things. The missing months between Celeste's disappearance and discovery, the heavy decomposition after thawing, and the inability to perform certain examinations. But here's where everything became explosive. The LAPD publicly denied the frozen body claims, yet medical examiner insiders refused to back down. They insisted the condition of the remains aligned with freezing and thawing patterns, even if the body was no longer frozen when found. And the next detail only deepened the mystery. A medical examiner's document revealed an unusual condition. Celeste's fingers were waterlogged, preventing live scan fingerprinting. Waterlogged fingers appear when skin has been submerged, exposed to moisture, or frozen and partially thawed, creating moisture-rich tissue.
The fingers were in a state where you couldn't get a fingerprint that would lead to the identity of the person. It was, I suppose you could say, blunted by water. And what does water mean? I mean, it could mean a variety of things, but it does kind of align with the notion of frozen.
This immediately raises another disturbing possibility. If the body was frozen, where did the freezing happen, and who had access to that location? The next revelation pointed investigators in a very specific direction. Investigators uncovered a strange trip David took months before the Tesla was discovered. He reportedly drove to a remote area of Santa Barbara in the middle of the night. He stayed there for several hours before returning home. According to insiders familiar with the case, detectives believe this location might have been a dismemberment site, a temporary disposal area, or possibly the place where Celeste originally died. This wasn't speculation from online sources. This was the theory internally circulating among investigators. The timing raised a haunting question. If something happened to Celeste in the spring, why was her body not found until early September? And this leads directly to one of the most disturbing mysteries in the case. Every timeline in this case points to a horrifying gap. If Celeste died around April and her body was discovered on September 8th, where was she for nearly 4 months? According to a credible source, the body was not buried, so burial wasn't hiding the remains. It wasn't left in nature. It wasn't stored in the Tesla for months. Decomposition patterns don't match that. The medical examiner's early observations, freezing signs, waterlogged tissue, and tissue breakdown pointed investigators toward a terrifying possibility. Celeste's body might have been stored somewhere controlled, frozen, hidden, and then eventually dumped into the Tesla trunk shortly before discovery.
Where was this body for 4 months? And I can't answer that, and I'm perplexed by it, and the only thing I've been told is don't necessarily use logic here.
Which implies the truth might be worse than anything logical. One detail removed any doubt about foul play. Celeste's body was cut up, not accidentally or naturally, but intentionally dismembered. Sources close to the medical examiner made this clear.
The cops, if this were, let's say, manslaughter, then the cops would know what happened, and there would be some resolution. There's foul play here. I mean, actually, the body was cut up. I mean, it was clear. The LAPD has always believed this was foul play.
This might be one of the reasons why the investigative grand jury is involved. Because once a body is intentionally cut apart, the case stops being a tragic accident. It becomes a planned crime, and possibly a coordinated effort involving multiple people. This brings us to the internal war that shifted the investigation. The medical examiner and the LAPD have a notoriously tense history, but this case pushed their feud into public view. The LAPD tried to seal the autopsy file in September, and the judge rejected it. The judge said there wasn't enough evidence to justify sealing it. Then the LAPD tried again. This time, they succeeded. The medical examiner was furious and issued a public press release demanding transparency, something almost never done in major cases. And the press release wasn't subtle. It implied the LAPD was withholding information, refusing cooperation, or suppressing key findings. In his statement, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Ode Ukpo said, "The practice of security holds is virtually unheard of in other counties and has not been proven to improve outcomes in the legal system. We are dedicated to serving our community with full transparency. However, the law precludes us from doing so, while the court order remains in this case." He also added that, "The department understands the public's interest in this case and remains committed to transparency when possible. Information will be made available once the court order is lifted." This is where sequence becomes crucial. Because right after the medical examiner fought back, the frozen body allegations leaked from medical examiner insiders, not the LAPD. That leak shifted everything. Experts started analyzing what might have happened based on the information leak. A former medical examiner, Dr. Jupitri, clarified something vital. If a body has ever been frozen, even once, even briefly, technicians can detect it through microscopic changes in cells and tissues. Freezing leaves unmistakable signatures like burst cells, damaged membranes, altered tissue structures, frozen to thawed texture differences. This means one thing. If Celeste's body was frozen at any point, the medical examiner already knows. They may not be allowed to release it, but they know. This information raised the stakes again. Because if freezing is proven, it suggests planning, transportation, tools, and a controlled environment. This case is far from over. Every new leak, every document, every insider claim pulls the curtain back a little further. And what we're seeing behind that curtain is deeply disturbing. Someone knows what happened to Celeste. The medical examiner knows more than they are allowed to say. And the grand jury is now gathering every unanswered question and dragging it into the light. The only thing we can do now is wait, because the next revelation could be the one that finally cracks this case open. So make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to stay updated. See you guys in the next video.